This week on RB and D Reviews, Ryan Reynolds suits up as the Green Lantern in the latest superhero movie. Brightest day in blackest night, no evil shall escape my sight. Let all who worship evil's might beware my power, Green Lantern's light. Hi, this is Rob for RB and D Reviews, and that speech is from The Green Lantern, which is the new superhero movie that just came out. It's based on a comic book series by DC Comics about Hal Jordan, who is a reckless, irresponsible pilot who finds an alien who crash-landed on Earth. He gives Hal a ring, and it turns out that the dying alien was part of a galactic organization called the Green Lantern Corps, where they fight evil throughout the universe. Their latest enemy is a force of fear called the Parallax, and on Earth there's a scientist named Hector who is mutating into a telepathic creature with a rather large head. This is the first film I can remember where I thought there was pretty much an equal balance between good elements and some bad ones. For those of you that normally watch my reviews on this channel, they tend to kind of fall into two categories. There's A, where it's a good movie, but I might nitpick a couple of things, and then there's B, where it's a bad movie, and there's like one or two good elements that I saw in that movie that I liked. But this one is one of the, like I said, it's one of the few movies I can think of recently where there seemed to be just an equal amount of good and bad things about this movie. With Green Lantern, I thought most of the special effects were very good, especially out in space, and there was even though there was quite a few clunkers, like when a group of aliens find the Parallax inside, frozen inside this force that the other Lanterns had imprisoned him with. When they find him, he kind of looks like a Martian from Mars Attacks. And the action scenes were, I thought they were very good, like when Hal is doing a test flight with a new plane called the Sabres at the beginning of the film. And the movie, it also did a good job at, adding comedy elements into the movie. But a lot of people have complained that this movie is just slowly paced, and I kind of like that it was, because usually with a movie that's slower paced, it gives the audience a chance to, spend time with the characters and see their drama, unlike some other superhero movies that have come out from the rival superhero movie company Marvel. In those Marvel movies, they tend to be just action sequences with a ton of subplots tied together, and usually DC movies like the Batman movie and Superman, it's a little bit more drawn out and you focus more on the drama. Actually, that was kind of one of the problems I had with Green Lantern. There's a lot crammed into this movie. We get the origin story, we get a devil-looking alien called Sinestro, and he's trying to find ways to fight the Parallax. We get Hector and his story, and then there's Hal training on the planet of the Lanterns to fight, and then he just decides to give up because he thinks the ring shows him and he's wrong for it and stuff like that. And then there's a love story with Carol Ferris, played by Blake Lively. I mean, the movie attempts at character development, but there's just hardly enough time to do it with all this stories going around. I would like to have seen Hal train more, and Hector's dad, who is a senator, thinks that his son is wasting his life. Why not have scenes where he says to Hector, or Hector remembers an incident that supports his dad's point of view, And the story, it did have a lot of plot holes like that could really have taken advantage of. For example, earlier in the movie, Hal goes to his nephew's birthday party, and somehow I got the feeling that he admires his Uncle Hal, even though he does stupid and dangerous stuff. And by the way, what happened to the co-workers that Hal fought at the bar parking lot after he became Green Lantern? Are they dead? Are they in the hospital? Do they even see Hal again, But I do think that the film did a good job at explaining the story of the Green Lantern Corps and how that was formed at the beginning of the movie. So I think it was done in a way so that the casual moviegoer that is not familiar with the comic books, I think they will not get lost with that. The acting, for the most part, I thought the acting was pretty good. I mean, Mark Strong as Sinestro and Peter Sarsgaard as Hector, for me, were the standouts, and I liked Hal's scientist friend Tom, but too bad Tom disappears in the movie. Yeah, he was funny and we don't see him again. Blake Lively as Carol, I kind of thought she was fine in the movie. I mean, at first she seemed kind of stiff and she looked like she just didn't blink, like she was a mannequin, but later she does. There goes my movie poster. Can't be perfect every time, I guess. But anyway, oh yeah, Blake Lively. Yeah, she was stiff at the beginning, and she looked like she doesn't blink, but later on, she does loosen up a little bit, but to me, she's just not my favorite love interest to the superhero in the superhero movies. I don't think she'd be my favorite. And as for Ryan Reynolds, I believed him more as the cocky, irresponsible Hal than when he becomes Green Lantern, because when he becomes Green Lantern, his behavior changes, but I did not buy it at all, and I really did not care that his behavior changed for the better or not. I found Green Lantern to be amusing, and I thought it was a good watch on the big screen, but it just wasn't too involving. I mean, I think I would have liked it better if the producers, just picked maybe one villain to focus on. That's been a lot of problems I've had with some superhero movies like Spider-Man 3. They put in more than one villain. And, I mean, and like how, I'd like to see, like, for example, how about this for a Green Lantern movie? What if they took the story where Hal spends time training on the Green Lantern planet in order to help fight the Parallax? Or, since I found Hector to be a much more interesting villain, what if they focused on Hector and his his story, and then we can include the love interest of Carol. As cliched as it is, it does lead to a sort of a climax with Hector, even though it was kind of whimpered out. What if he and Hal win at it? Maybe that would have been much better, and I think it would have definitely created more drama for both characters. We saw more drama with Hal. We could see more drama with Hector. I think I would probably recommend this movie maybe for people that prefer action movies and special effects than people who like to spend time watching a character's trial and tribulation and watching the drama. I think that movie might be more, like Batman or Spider-Man, where you can sit down and watch the character change. A complaint with the movie is that it happens too quickly, and I can kind of agree with that. And the movie, it does seem to be splitting people. After I watch the movie, traditionally what I do is I try not to look at other reviews until I've seen the movie, and then once I see the movie and I write my notes down in the theater, yeah, I take notes. So, when I take my notes down, I'll go watch professional critics and read their reviews, and then I'll watch fellow YouTubers' reviews, and then go on message boards and see what people thought, just to compare and see how similar or different they are. And it seems to be splitting people. People are either disappointed with it, or they're saying that's the best superhero movie of the year, which I don't agree with. And after I saw the movie, I talked to Brendan on the phone about these superhero movies, and he says one thing that he picked up on is that most of these new superhero movies are origin stories, and then hoping that there'll be a sequel. And in this movie, in the middle of the credits, there's a scene that suggests that there may be a sequel, but if it's not making as much money as the studio wants, that may not happen. But he says a lot of the new superhero movies are origin stories, and he blames Batman Begins for that, even though Darkman had an origin story, and that was like back in the late 80s, early 90s. I forgot what the year was. But yeah, and he says, why can't they make movies where the superhero is already established, like the 1989 Batman movie? And speaking of Batman, the only movie I can think of where they had a lot of different villains together, more than one villain, without, fighting each other, was in the 1966 Batman movie, because I think everybody worked very well together. But whenever they do something like Spider-Man 3 or like Batman Forever or something like that, where they try to include more than one villain, usually it doesn't work out. Like it's like there's a struggle between giving them both the right amount of screen time, and it usually doesn't work out. Okay, but Green Lantern, I'm sorry, I'm getting off the subject, Green Lantern. I thought long and hard about how to recommend this movie, and despite its flaws with the story and a few clunkers here and there, I give the Green Lantern a mild see-it-in-theaters verdict. I thought it was a nice watch. I think some of the special effects are probably going to be enjoyed on the big screen, but it's not the best superhero that came out this summer so far, and I can't wait to see the other ones coming out, like Captain America, and we'll see how that goes. Okay, so that's my review for the Green Lantern. So if you have any comments about the movie, whether you liked it or not, go ahead and leave them. I greatly appreciate it, and thank you very much for watching.